Hello there and welcome to Get Good. I am Bruce. As always, I'm joined by Magnus, and this week we have Mr. Lukas Holmström. Lukas, how you doing?
I am great. Thank you for asking.
It is wonderful to have you on. It's kind of relatively fresh from your Golden Demon triumph in Essen. I guess like initial things. I remember you put in your post it was a childhood dream come true. Is it still feeling like that, or have you kind of normalized back to I'm just a painter
Uh,
now?
it was really weird because it was like you said, it truly was a childhood dream of mine. It's been like my entire goal with the hobby ever since I was 8 years old. And I think that feeling lasted for about an hour and a half. And then
Yep.
I just got back to like the hotel room. We were so dead tired from having meet and greets all day, and just I was stressing the entire day. I mean, Magnus, you met me. I think you probably saw that I was like
Uh,
really in
uh,
pain.
but
So
barely holding on.
yeah, the feeling lasted like 2 hours, and then I like, of course, I felt proud and like happy ever since. But the genuine happiness and shock of the moment, I think, lasted for 2 hours.
It's
Yeah, so
just
now it's back to normal. You
yeah.
still have to do the dishes at home and
Yeah.
still have to no king treatment just because you got a demon and okay.
My
Well.
girlfriend, she watched the stream,
Mm.
and she wrote to me on Messenger like, "Oh, congrats on the bronze. Is that good?" And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well,
"Ah, yeah."
yeah. Yeah.
It was
I
good.
think it yeah, I think it's kind of rare to have a significant other who just like, fully appreciate the depth of it.
Yeah.
The color doesn't matter. It's the first one, and it's always going to be insane. So, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, we have a lot to talk about. I'm bridged to you then, Manus, because we've been talking a lot about what we may ask young Lukas, and turns out quite a lot of topics. So why don't you get us going?
Yeah, I think this one is a little bit unique because um, they it, Lucas is one who makes content, right? But not content like a lot of the others we maybe have on here, where they're more like specialists, I guess. And in the daily, you do content for almost like the masses. Like the YouTube audience is definitely different than perhaps a Patreon audience would be. So I guess the first topic to kind of talk about would be how do you balance? How do you keep fresh, keep inspired, keep playful when your job is doing more of the I'd say mainstream kind of painting, even though it's like let's say high tabletop or whatever, but then have the passion on the side to be okay. I really want to push high level painting, competition pieces, be innovative, be unique, keep it fresh and and as I said, playful.
I think it's been a weird one. Like I've done this for now almost 5 years, and I would say probably up until like the first 4 years, I probably went in and looked at it more as my job than my passion and hobby. And it was
Mm,
easy to like hide behind the fact that, oh, I'm in the office for 8 hours a day. I'm painting minis at least for like, let's say, 5 hours on average per day. And at the same time, always feeling super inspired because like you're in the like bubble of miniatures and painting constantly, but you're not really having that time to like tickle your own itch at the
mm,
same time. So the first 4 years, I pretty much never painted on my spare time. I came to the office, painted, and then got home. Probably went fishing, because that's like
yeah,
my actual main hobby.
yeah.
And so yeah, I was a really poor miniature painter for myself the first 4 years. But then I kind of decided early this year that I would try to like rekindle my passion a bit. And like Golden Demon has been a big dream of mine to once like sometime win in my life. And like I kind of use that as the fuel for the fire to like kindle the love again. And I really think I've hit like a sweet spot now because now I feel like motivated to have the separation between what I'm doing for myself as opposed to what I'm doing for work. Because even though the work stuff we do, it's super inspiring, it's super fun, obviously. But it's nice to have something that you can just sort of do for yourself.
Mm.
And I think a main part for me to help push was that I didn't record any of it. It's just like
Yeah.
completely shut off. It's just me, nothing.
Yeah, it's funny because we talked about just this week, Bruce, huh? That the idea of like, I just need a break, just need to paint something just to paint it, right? Just to not show for anyone, not have these awkward on screen and having to pause and stop. And yeah, I guess that's a good point. It's easier to keep it separate and keep it passion when it also doesn't you don't film any of it, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think like a lot of people, unless you've tried it, don't necessarily understand how hard it is to paint on camera.
No.
No.
It's so fucking difficult, and it always feels like you're having to make a series of compromises along the route,
Oh,
and
for
then
sure.
yeah, and then you just stop, and it's like, actually, no, there's a competition piece, which means I don't have to do the eyes under a lens. I can just paint the goddamn things.
Yeah.
Do you? I mean, does the because I mean I know it's you said there like it is yourself, it's your own piece. But as Manus alluded to earlier, like he saw a bit of you talking about the project on the Squidmar channel. So you do talk about it. It is still linked to your job in some ways. Do you find it hard
Yeah.
to fully disconnect? And is there a bit of pressure that comes with performance? Because obviously you were successful this year. You weren't. You didn't win a demon in the previous year. So did that feel different this year? I'm really curious about that take.
I think for me, the biggest difference so this was my third time entering Golden Demon. The first time I had never been to an international competition. I was 22 years old, cocky as a fucking,
Yeah.
I don't know. I came there with like, oh, I can just paint something in 2 evenings and then win the Slayer sword. Obviously, that did not happen. The year after that, I was like, still a bit cocky, only 23 years old, whatever. And I'm like, I can just paint the mini in like 20 hours. And then it's like, I entered it into the cabinet and I was like, I'm not even happy with this. Of course, I'm not going to win anything. But then again, I like for last year and in SN, I feel like I had the pressure to make a good video because we were making a video out of the painting
Yeah.
for my
I
Nurgle guy.
remember.
And it's like we came to this point where it's like, okay, the video needs to be finished so that we can publish it like right away after the event. Meaning that the mini had to be sort of finished, even though I still had like a 7-day period where I could potentially paint
Yeah.
even. So once I'd finished it for the video, I kind of felt like I was done with the mini. I couldn't really pick it back up and refine, which obviously is such a big part about especially the Golden Demon. Whereas this year, I think any filming we did for the entire process was just someone in the office just happened to stumble upon me sitting and painting.
Yeah. You keep doing
so
what
I
you're
think-
doing. I'll just shoot this. Don't.
Yeah, exactly. So I wasn't really affected, and especially since I didn't have that initial pressure of like we have to make a good video rather than I have to paint a good mini. Because now I could just I'm gonna paint the best mini I can, and then if the video turns out like shit, we'll just not publish it.
Want to hear something curious though?
Yeah.
Actually, for someone like me, the video you ended up with this go around was much better.
Yeah.
It was much more you doing a passionate thing on your own. It felt more, I don't know, genuine and more almost like a little bit of like solitary and a little like, okay, I really want to get in my feelings with this. This really matters to me. I need to put the work and all of the things that most people actually do feel when they want to compete. It was what you then ended up conveying through the video. So I think it was much better than the not that it was a bad video, the previous one, but it was more of a oh, look, this is the journey we want to take from A to C with a model. So it was just less. It felt more, genuine. This
Yeah,
one.
and I think it probably made the overall experience for me quite even more personal, because it really
Mm,
felt like, for me, entering this piece this year felt like giving a piece of me to the judges, because I was
yeah.
so incredibly proud and like nervous for the first time in my life. And then when we'd done the video and published it, it also felt like, because I wasn't a big part in making the video. It was Emil who made like 90% of it, and I obviously just was focusing fully
You
locked
were
in
there
on.
painting. That was it.
So I think just like getting to look at the journey through someone else's eyes and seeing
Mm.
myself do it, and like the emotions and everything, it was a surreal and quite emotional experience, I think.
You got to take the stage with your Guinness hoodie, which was
Yeah.
I still remember that. Friend that hates Guinness, I want to get Jack on with a Guinness hoodie on stage, which was perfect. How I'm really curious about this, Lucas. So how do you define your style? Because from my perspective, I kind of look at your work often. I'm like, there's like a habit of big, bold, punchy, high value stuff always in the right place. And that's always going to be the stuff that draws the eye. And then an understanding of what needs to flow around that. Have you do you think your style is both influenced by the work that you do, or do you trying to kind of keep a work style and then a competition style? Because I imagine managing those quite tricky, because the winged demon, again, big punchy bits of high value which really draw the eye in, but it's actually only really in person that you understand how subtle that piece executes a lot of its
Yeah.
work, which doesn't really come across in photos, which is quite interesting. So how do you kind of describe those two slight different styles?
I think uh, like I really like and I appreciate stuff that has the strong contrast and strong values and like a super clear direct point of view with like a main focal light, which is probably why I paint it. Like that's the thing that I paint the most. It also just happens to be incredibly fast, because as soon as you learn how to place highlights correctly and understand light and values, I mean, you don't have to blend anything, which people don't really get their head around, but we try to convey it through the videos, and we've been trying for, 6 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like it's just so incredibly fast, which means that the stuff I do for the videos and my job, I can punch out super fast and it will look incredible, especially on camera, because
Yes.
you can film from a bit further away. You don't see those harsh blends. Like it's nice.
And the turning and everything, right?
Yeah.
When you need a good
Uh,
shot, you can get a good shot.
and I think for me, I think competition painting for me was really weird up until this piece, because I always got caught in like, okay, I need to paint differently to what I'm doing when I'm painting in like as my work role in like in the videos. I need to refine it from the start, which is never good, because then you're just sitting there and painting like a shoulder and it looks completely detached from everything else, because you've just rendered this shoulder for 30 hours meaninglessly. So I think this one was the first one where I, like, the start of the process, I did just how I would do any other mini I paint any day. So I just super rough value sketch, a bit of airbrushing, and just to get like the general feeling of the skin of the piece. And then it was just, I think I'd painted it in like 6 hours the first evening, and the skin looked pretty good. Like the mini looked almost finished when you looked at it from the front. And then I still managed to put in almost 70 hours more on the skin. So like obviously this is just something that worked for me, and like painting like I normally do and then refining just happened to be the trick, I guess, for me.
It is kind of
Well,
powerful.
which is a good thing to know, though, because is it the first one where you pushed this far? Have you had other projects, personal projects, where that just ended up in the cabinet, or
I
where you really
so
like tried?
the problem is like I did quite a bit of like local tournaments or local painting competitions before I started at the YouTube channel. And like obviously I wasn't as good when I was 17 as I am today, but like I will say that I was pretty good. But my big problem was that I would finish a mini to like 60% and then lose all interest in it. So I have a lot of like half finished minis that look incredibly well, but I will never finish them. But also I'd never spent more than 60 hours on one mini before. And this one I spent with the converting and sculpting, it's close to 300. So it's like, it's not comparable in any ways and forms.
What was the driving force then to put in that? Was it just it's Golden Demon and I'm going to do it? Because we're speaking with a lot of people in community, and this question kind of keeps emerging. Like, okay, do I do a lot of quick work? Do I do like a big long piece? And there's often a warning that needs to be given to people. It's like it's very hard if you've never done it before to sit down and spend 200, 300 hours on a project. It's a long ass time. You just grit your teeth and like, yeah, I'm just going to spend this hour time until it's perfect.
I think for me, the past year was quite harsh in terms of my ego. If I say like I went to Monte last year, and I got 3 bronzes in Masters, and it was the first time I went, so I was incredibly happy. Then one of the judges that I met afterwards, he was like, "Oh, bro, you fumbled a silver. Like, why didn't you just spend more time on your mini and refine it?" It was a mini I'd painted in 6 hours the night before leaving for Monte. And he was like, we looked at it and he was like, could this be a gold? No, it's a silver. They put it down as a silver. Then they did the second round and it's like, it should have been a bit more refined. Bumped it down to a bronze. And I was really happy with the 3 bronzes at first. And then I heard this like 5 minutes after the award ceremony and I was like devastated. And all the feedback I've ever gotten from like good painters who've won competitions or judges or anything, they're always like, it would be really fun to see something if you actually pushed yourself. So I think this year it was a bit of a, okay, I'm gonna fucking show it both to myself because like I need to show myself that I can do it. And also a bit of a, okay, look, guys, look, I can lock in, I can do it.
Yeah. Does that give you a new confidence now? Because you've done this, you've been awarded. I remember reading, I forget whether it was a story or just a post by Eric Swinson. He was like, Lukas, you proved yourself with the big boys here, kind of thing, which must have felt pretty good. Does that give you a confidence that, yeah, I can do this, I can push myself to this very tippy top level?
I think the good thing was that, like, since pretty much the only feedback I've ever gotten is the fact that I need to spend more time and refine the stuff, and then being rewarded when you actually do it. I think it's a bit more of a feel good than like, oh, I know now I can do this. But like obviously it is really encouraged. Like obviously when you have a stacked category like that, you put in the time and you're rewarded. Obviously it boosts your confidence. So
yeah.
And it also just makes it feel more worth it. Because if I would have spent, 300 hours and then wouldn't have got anything, of course it would have been like a fucking punch to the gut. Then I would have probably just stopped,
Well, especially because you're then back to square one of not knowing, well, should I have put 5 or should I have put 100, right? Because what is it then that I need to do? Is it the style? Is it the colors? Is it the whatever is I'm doing wrong?
Because that one is
Especially
always fucking scary, Like you never know if the judges are gonna like your personal style and your artistic preferences.
yeah.
And even though I don't see myself as having like a super out there style in terms of like you distinctly see what I've painted amongst others, it's still, it's not
You do.
classic.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe. But it's
I
still
feel
not
like I pick a Lukas piece out quite easily.
Okay. But it's like I don't know, because I just feel like I've tried to like take a lot of inspiration from obviously like the Spanish painters because they are just the masters of light and color, you know. And then I also love the fucking heavy metal style, and that's what I grew up looking at. So it's probably just like mixing the two a bit, where you have a bit more like maybe unnecessarily refined areas in some ways, and then a bit more artistic light placement and stuff.
So it's funny you mentioned like Monty as a humbling experience, which is like, I think that's like the 10th time we've heard that. Like, yeah, I went to Monty first year and it was a humbling experience, but it made me a better painter. So Manus, we gotta watch ourselves next year.
It's gonna be humbling. Huh?
Yeah. So I mean, you mentioned there that you're consistently told like, okay, you just need to put the time in. Now, that in many ways is like the best possible feedback, because it's like there's no foundational issues there. It's you need to put in the time. So then the question that I have is the things that maybe I more intrinsically struggle with, like things like color scheme and like the composition of a piece. How have you developed those? Is that through the work? Is that through your own interests? Is that through an artistic eye?
I think for me, the artistic side and like that's nothing. That's something that I've never had to like think about. Because I went to art school. I've like ever since I was 4 years old, I've been drawing. I used to be hugely into Legos. And what I would do is instead of, reading the manual and building the piece that I was given, I would just throw the manual
You're
away
an
and build
anarchist.
something else. Yeah. So I think just like crafting and building and color and sketching, all of that has just been a huge part of my life ever since I was a small child. And I know like a lot of like, look at Erika's piece with the fucking golden ratio thing. Like
Yeah.
I would never do that. Like I don't think I've ever planned further than like, okay, I know I want to paint a demon that looks like a flying ball sack with wings. I would never like
It's a
sketch
life
it out
mission.
and try color schemes and stuff. And I'm really inspired by people who do. Don't get me wrong. It's just like I just go with my gut feeling and I start converting, I start building. It's like either I like it or I don't. So I don't really
So
know.
that means it's because I had a question that was like, because you do your job on the Squidmar channel of painting and the videos and whatnot you guys do. Well, you kind of run out of time, right? You only have so much time. Is the well endless? Can you just sit down and push and well, I want to do a project. I'll just grind because it's not how I work at all.
I think for work it's a bit different because it's like we are on quite a tight deadline for all the videos. So it's like you don't really have the time to make all the fun decisions necessarily. It's more about getting it done. For myself, I don't really know because this is the only project I've done for myself in so long.
Yeah.
But I mean, for this one, I did up close to 300 hours in 2 months,
Yeah,
only on my
spare
spare
time.
time. So I
Yikes.
would
time.
think that I could just lock it. Yeah, it was my spare time because it's like I would work 8 hours, eat dinner,
That's
and
it.
then just lock in. So
It's the inverted commas because it's the things that you then have to do instead of live. I do feel this like very strange because I think sometimes I would give myself a hard time for like not putting 5 hours in. But it turns out if you want a relationship with people around you, if you want to do, if you want to eat, if you want to not feel like garbage because you're going to bed late, you do need to kind of compartmentalize things. So it's certainly in that crunch period near the end of a project.
Yeah.
There's no free time.
I mean,
it's just horrible.
I think I ate McDonald's 4 days a week during that period.
No.
So I would leave for work in like 7:30 in the morning. And I would come back at 1:30 in the evening. So my girlfriend, she would already be asleep. Like,
Yeah, she must be an angel, huh?
I mean, yeah, she's just
putting up with
laying
that.
on the couch reading books all the time, doesn't care. So,
Damn.
but I think it's a blessing that we don't have kids yet. So
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
My
Yeah.
spare time is actually my own spare time to
Yeah.
play with.
Okay, so
That
it
was-
means that when you want to do something, let's say, because before we jumped on, you were saying, well, a bit of converting and whatnot, so you can start the year painting on a project for, the next thing, right? Does that mean that okay, one project is done, I want to do a new thing, I'll research what it is, or do you have kind of like thoughts in the back of your head? Oh, I would like to
Oh,
do.
I already have. I have so much stuff going on all the time.
Yeah.
I always do. That's the problem. Like, I think that's a big contributing factor to why I've never finished stuff in the past, because it's so easy to, like, when it gets hard, you just jump on the next fun thing. But it's also helped me realize that I need to pick minis that I'm 100% excited about painting every single detail of. Because I think previously it's always been minis that are like, I like 80% of the mini, and then when I
Yeah.
hit that 20% that I don't like painting, I'll just stop.
Yeah. I guess 20% I can kind of force through that, but when it becomes 30 or 40, sometimes you see a mini and it's like, ooh, I really like that sword and I really like the helmet and the whatever, and then the rest of it you don't even consider it because we'll see, and then you get into it and it's like, oh, sometimes I can even see just clipping it out of the sprue, and I'm like, no.
Sometimes you see a mini you really like, and then you find out it's GW resin, and then you just
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that too. But it's true. I agree with you. I think it is important when you pick a project. Like, one thing is, oh, could this be cool? But another thing is, do I actually want to force myself to sit with this for the whatever amount of time it needs? And I'm not saying that every project should be 300 hours. Ideally, they shouldn't. But well, even 100 hours is much too long if you don't enjoy most of it, right? It's much too long.
Do you ever get afraid of scale? I was thinking about this kind of running into this week because you've been a part of like monstrous projects. Like the Manta is like one that sticks in the brain, I guess. It was the Manta, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't want the law police coming for me, Tau fans, please. I'm sorry. Which is like it's something on a scale I can't really fathom, because it's like I did a big robot and that felt pretty massive, and then it's like this nice thing, and there's there's a whole long-term thing about Titans and things like that. Do you then just think, well, I'm just going to do something that's cool and it's as big as it wants to be? Because you've done pretty much everything from small single figs, tiny single figs, all the way through to big projects. So you must. I'm wondering where your fear points are, Lucas. This is it for me. I think everyone has doubts, and I'm wondering where yours are.
I mean, I think the good thing when we do those projects is that we are at least two people, so we can just like keep pushing each other through because of course you have a bit of a honeymoon phase with the project where you're like, oh my God, this is the best idea ever, and then quite soon you realize this is the worst idea ever, and then you stand there with
Oh no,
fucking
it's work.
yeah, and you have like fucking goo on your fingers, and you're like, why am I sculpting mountains that are the same height as me? But at the same time, I think everything is just really fun as long as you make it fun. The things that I hate is when it really becomes like a chore. Like some videos that we do, of course, does feel like work, but we have the blessing where it's like 9 out of 10 projects are fun.
Yeah.
Then we have the occasional where it's like, fuck, I have to grind 200 orcs or whatever. Those are not very fun.
I was gonna say the kind of painting an army in a weekend kind of thing is where it's like, this just looks so horrible.
It breaks my heart every time. I'm just like, no, this again, man. How can you do it? Well, it looks like you guys are actually having fun though.
Yeah,
But
we do, and we actually last week, Thursday to Friday, we actually convinced Borja to join us for a 24-hour challenge.
yeah.
So, and I think he
Oh,
also
boy.
had fun, because like at the end of the day, we're just a bunch of friends in the studio painting minis for 24 hours and eating pizza.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound too far off from what I was doing when I was like 15 years old. Just switch
No.
out the minis for a computer.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So those are really fun. I think, but like to get back a bit on the topic, I don't really have any big projects that like scare me or get me unmotivated or whatever.
You're just
It
fearless.
almost so. Uh, I actually like from an outside perspective, it almost looks like you're a little bit better on a bit bigger. Like you really get to show artistic brushstrokes and strong lighting and all of those things when it gets a little bit larger. So something, well, 40 mil, you're kind of a little bit confined in what you can actually do. You can only cram so much into,
Yeah.
something too tiny, right? But when you go a little bit larger, I think that the demon, for example, was at almost like a perfect sweet spot of being able to show so much, like color choices and lighting and brushstroke and everything really gets to have punch, right?
Yeah. I think another thing that's quite limiting where we live, so we live really far up in northern Sweden, and it's that we don't have autumn, we don't have spring, we just have summer and winter. And during the
Mm,
winter, it gets really cold, which means it gets incredibly dry,
yeah.
which means that you cannot paint for that long. And when you're grinding, you try to paint tiny freaking details. It's a pain in the ass.
Mm,
And in the summer, it's incredibly dry. So
yes, because
it's
it's
just
hot.
yeah, so we get a lot of questions about why we have a fucking fog machine on the table, and it's actually a like moisturizer, air moisturizer,
Yeah.
uh, and we have 4 of those running in the painting studio, and
Oh
it's like we
boy.
can paint 2 or 3 brush strokes, and then we have to rinse the brush, um, which is it doesn't help when painting even smaller minis.
No,
Uh,
absolutely not.
so that I think that the climate where I live is my biggest fucking enemy and my biggest.
So we need
Yeah.
to move you to Japan, where it's just
Yeah,
humid
or
all the
just like
time.
it seems like Spain is really
Yeah, I
bad.
was about to say just go to Spain and then,
Yeah.
the peak summer months, you just cut those and, go to the beach and have fun. And then the rest of the year, you just,
The problem
painting
is though, then
perfect
I can't
brushstrokes.
go fishing, you know?
No, that's true, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe
Fishing.
stay. Yeah.
I've no. It's this is I have been fishing many times and never caught a fish. This is a
Oh.
great shame of my life. My daughter tried it once and caught a fish immediately, which then just made me know that it's like a curse that I have. I guess
Yeah.
there are kind of similarities. No, I'm not going to get into a fishing discussion. I'll quickly find myself out of my depth. I want to know who inspires you, Lucas, because I recall, if my memory serves correctly, you were on your visit to Verco's vault, the wonderful Verco, and you saw the wonderful Nagash that landed. You seemed quite, this is a rad thing, and obviously you've done your own version of Nagash. Who are the artists that you just look to and like, yeah, they tickle my pickle. They make me want to paint. Like, where is that joy?
I'm gonna say, so I have one that is like, has been for so long. Like my absolute, maybe not where I look for like the technical skill sets or like certain areas, but the one that I always find myself looking at, Rodrigo Acore.
Mm.
Oh,
Because his style is just the perfect, like for me, he's the perfect Warhammer painter. He just tickles everything for me. It's like the colors, the lighting, the contrast, everything is just so good.
yeah.
Um, so I'd say like for Warhammer painting, that's 100% my main source of inspiration. And then when it comes to just like more broad artistry, I'd say pretty much everyone. Because for me, I think I've always been able to look at a broad spectrum of like styles and different schools of art and stuff and be really inspired by all of it. So like, just scrolling on Instagram, I'll be equally inspired by like a box art from Games Workshop as opposed to Eric Swinson's latest masterpiece, you know. Because there's always something that you can like, ooh, I wish I could do this. Or I haven't thought about it this way.
I often
Damn, that is something I'm jealous of, man. I need to, dissect a piece. I need to sit down and look at everything really like consciously. Otherwise, it just everything blurs together, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, another cool piece, another cool piece, another cool piece." And I can't really like sort it on the fly. That's impressive that you get to. I guess it's the innate kind of artistic brain that kind of helps you there.
And also, I mean, I will say that I'm a fair bit younger than the two of you.
ouch.
So,
Fucking hell.
Okay.
so
Well,
maybe
let's cut
Instagram
it here.
scrolling comes a bit more natural to my my
Maybe.
generation. It
Oh, it's
might
the
be a bit
scroll
more.
brain. It's the scroll brain. It has
Yeah,
more wrinkles, so things can fall down, huh?
no, but like for real, I think just like because when I went to art school and studied it in
Still
school, we
gross.
always were forced into like analyzing both what we did and other people's work, and like
Mm,
fast and like good at pointing out what you were analyzing. And I
Yes.
think even though I've hated it my entire life, that like the teachers were trying to put like actual thoughts and like making us write our feelings instead of
mm,
just appreciating the art. I think that it might have helped me along in the long run, because when I see stuff now, I processes it more efficiently, I think, because I
mm.
like bounce around more and just pinpoint the stuff that I'm interested in.
Yeah. I,
Yeah, so you would say that it's both like affinity, but also actually getting training in,
Yeah.
arts. Yeah.
I
And then
think
just having a tiny bit of probably ADHD to help like blend the two, you know.
ADHD in this hobby? Nah, never, never come across it. I did. Well, you do. I mean, I draw parallels with cinema because I did a lot of study in film, and so when I watch a film, I don't watch it the same way that my wife watches it. For example,
Yeah.
you understand the shots, you understand the lighting, you see it in a different way. So I imagine, yeah, if you were instructed on that 2D, that does become innate. My only thing is you can't ever switch that off, as far as I'm aware. Once you know it, it's cursed knowledge, and you can't ever
Yes.
just enjoy a piece for what it is. You have to break it down. But it echoes what what Maskans was saying about teaching your eyes to appreciate
Yeah.
beauty. I think that sometimes, because I see the community ask questions about this, like, oh, what is it about this piece or this? And if you can train yourself to see that, I do think that helps you more than quite a lot of things, because
Oh,
you're
for
then
sure.
applying that lens to your own work, and you probably think, does this look beautiful yet? No. So I can then keep pushing and keep working it. Because it's a question we used to ask, and I used to ask myself a lot, and we see it a lot more in communities. Well, when do I know when to stop refining?
Uh,
And I remember, Manus, you always said, like, it's when you're doing as much harm as good, basically. But you have to be
yeah,
able to
almost.
see that. Like, that's the thing. If you can't see it, you just paint forever until it's riddled with textures and hideous. Um, I want to flip to the other side slightly, and the other side being, obviously, we've talked a little about you as the competition painter. Obviously, with stuff like the Squidmar Open, which is running now. If you're listening to this and it's not in the future, that's confusing. You are judging, and you're trying to essentially break down work and place it. And obviously, you have quite a large team of judges that work with you. How have you found that? And has that kind of reflected in your own work, the way that you think about the hobby?
I mean, first of all, I get really inspired because we're blessed with having quite a lot of entries,
Mm.
which means that we have to look at a lot
A
of
lot.
videos. Uh,
Hmm.
a metric shit ton of lots.
Yeah.
But like, I think for me and Emil, we have a quite like fluid judging process. We kind of just lock in and then we skim through stuff, and we're like, if it catches your like at what some point in your painting career, you come to a point where you can discern good from bad like super fast. You don't really have to look at it. You're just gonna, okay, this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. So we do like a first cut, just super like skim through the masses, and then obviously we have to start looking closer, because
Mm.
then it's Is it commended? Is it a bronze? It's silver, gold, best of show. And I think for that, everyone has different preferences. And at the end of the day, I'll probably judge something different Monday than I do Friday.
Mm.
But I think,
So you are human.
yeah, I do hope so. If No, but I think it's one of those where it's like, I don't think any judge will ever be perfect. And I think it's really important to understand that, like both for your own sake and when collaborating with other judges, because they're going to have their opinion, I'm going to have my opinion, and we kind of have to find a middle ground. And for me, it's always about, I want the perfect mixture of great storytelling, where it be either with the lighting, the actual framework of the scene, like you could convert the meaning, like you convey emotion in some way of storytelling through colors, light, shape. And then I do like the tad bit of technical prowess, because for me, it's just one of those skills that it takes that bit of fucking time, you know? You can't just fucking rush perfection. And if you see something that is like beautiful with nice volumes and perfect, beautiful lighting and good looking colors, and it's also perfect in terms of technical aspect, I mean, it's the given choice for me. I mean, some judges are just fully locked in on only technical and only storytelling, and that is completely fine. I'm probably just a bit more in the middle.
Would you say you and Emil are pretty on wavelength in terms of that? Because when you see you guys painting for the videos, it well, of course you can see you painted one thing and he painted another thing, but the end result is fairly similar when you do the videos. Whereas your personal painting, we don't see too much of, right? Because it's mostly for content. So I'm wondering if your personal styles are more different, and also your preferences in terms of like when
I
you
think
get to judge.
I think we're quite similar in terms of preferences. I think Emil leans a bit more towards like the artistic side, and I'm a little bit more leaning to, I want a bit more maybe refinement to it. But we're quite close. Like I think we're a good team of judges and have been every time we've done any judging. Um, and for the videos, I feel like I have a really, or not really. I have quite an easy time like replicating Emil's style when painting minis. So I think oftentimes in the videos I end up painting more similar to him,
Okay.
especially if we're doing something that's supposed to be cohesive, um, which probably means that everything looks a bit closer, you know, in the videos.
Yeah, sure.
But like if I would do something that's fully for myself, it would look like the demon. Like
Yeah.
that's my style in a vacuum. Um, and that one is quite far off from Emil's, I'd say.
Yes.
I mean, I find it's funny. I can picture both of your styles, but putting it into the words can sometimes be a bit tricky in terms of this. But I take your point actually, Manus. They do merge a bit in those videos, which is interesting, because I guess this comes to like a question I want to address, which is a lot of the time with those videos, you are in a lot of the ones that I've watched. Well, actually, let's talk about content. God, but there is some that is just like, look, this is hobby adjacent. We're going to talk about products that we got in Japan. Blah 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 blah. The ones that are focused on painting seem to be very much, we are trying to teach people a skill. And I'd say actually there are some tutorials on the Squidmar YouTube which go into this in quite crunchy detail and really are very instructive in terms of like, okay, here's how you paint to a high level. How much do you have to think about breaking down concepts to explain to a mainstream audience things like volumetric light and blends? And like, is that a conscious choice? Do you find it difficult?
I'd say we've started leaning away from like this super deep dives a bit. just like for two reasons. One, the most boring and sad reason might be that they quite clearly don't get as much views on our platform, because it's like, of course, it's not for the mainstream painter who wants, like, every painter doesn't want to know how to like blend to win a Slayer sword, but everyone who's aspiring to win a Slayer sword wants to know, and that's two people. Whereas,
Yeah. Wow,
so
it's true.
it's a bit of a shame because it is really fun to make like super educational content, but at the same time, also having to like form everything in sentences and fucking just tasks or tips or tricks that are actually digestible for people. It's incredibly hard sometimes because sometimes like we can sit in the office and be like, how stupid are people if they don't understand this? Like, of course, I wouldn't say it to anyone, and like, of course, people aren't as like evolved in their painting career as I've been fucking painting minis for 17 years now. Of course, someone who's done it for 2 weeks won't know what the fuck I'm talking about when I'm saying you can just glaze this and then hit it with the airbrush to do like a, you know. Um, so it is a bit weird to like trying to dumb down super complex painting tips.
Yeah, almost to the point of being not possible. Like some
Yeah.
things you can't explain it to a 5-year-old. You just can't. Like that's, you know, for a later time in someone's journey. Yeah.
And I think for me, like one of the things that comes so fluently in my own painting is that like I rarely paint something to a fully finished state and then like, okay, now I'm done with this, let's move on. It's I can imagine for you guys as well, it's a lot of back and forward. Like you
Yeah.
start
It's
adding a
not
bit of
very
a
linear.
highlight and then you start glazing a little bit and then, oh, maybe I stipple some textures and then glazing again and then highlight. You do the airbrush, but for the videos, we kind of have to streamline it.
Yeah.
So it's easier to follow. It's like, okay, you need to finish the skin. And to finish the skin, you do highlight, highlight, highlight.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
shade it with the airbrush, and then you add another highlight. And I would never paint like that if I painted for myself, which is always a bit weird.
I do find it a bit depressing that like I just completely the super in-depth videos have to get put by the wayside because they don't grow an audience. And you know, it's funny, Magnus warned me of this when we first went into this, like, look, we are a niche of a niche of a niche of a niche of a niche. And I was still not sunk in. On part of me is just like, this is great. Display painting
why
is
don't
where
everyone
it's at.
love it?
Yeah, why aren't you here with us where we lose our sanity slowly as we paint these minis?
Well, almost like thank God for it, right? Because it's what gives life to Patreon, for example. Like if it was better for a larger audience, you could make, you know, I don't know, 50,000, 100,000 follower channels, but then people would do that, so you couldn't live on Patreon. Whereas it's almost better that it is like a specialist thing where, okay, you know what, the people who really want this, will cater to them and we'll do something special for them, and then you can lock it behind something because it is unique, though, right? So
Yeah.
almost like a blessing, blessing in disguise. That, well, I mean, then you get to I guess monetize it in a different way, though, right?
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, like for us, like we kind of like to see ourselves as people who create uh, educational
Yes.
stuff. Like it's education, but hidden behind funny, engaging videos.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think long term, for us, it's so much easier to make videos that we feel are fun and do like random fun projects that will probably also amass to a larger audience, which is always like beneficial. But at the end of the day, we look at the content we make, we always base on what are we excited about making. And it isn't fucking painting tutorials. Like we do them on the second channel.
You got squiddly
where we do,
bits.
like, yeah, exactly. Where we do, straight up fucking painting tutorials.
There you go, you
People still have the
motherfuckers.
nerve to
Yeah.
people
Look-
still have the nerve to go into the comment sections and be like, oh, Squidmar used to be so much better 4 years ago when they only did painting tutorials. And like
No.
every time we're like, the third video on our channel was like a fucking Fiverr video. It's like, so
Well, and also clearly not, since the numbers of subscribers went up,
yeah,
right? So it's like, well, one person might, or some people might think so, but well, the data just shows something different.
yeah.
You went back to Monty, didn't you, recently?
Yeah, it
And
was
you
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, because we were talking about this on the podcast. Like, Monty just has this air of secrecy around it, where unless you're there, you don't know much about it. But you did, because you got bronze last year. You got silver this year, did I?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I got it. Thank you.
Ha-
I just entered the demon. I painted for golden demon.
Okay, cool.
And then I painted the night before. I actually painted this little guy. So
Nice.
this is
Okay.
a 6-hour paint job. It was very nice. Lukas Saba, he was really happy. I got it from Lukas like 2 years ago, and I was so incredibly hyped for painting it, and it's just been sitting in my shelf for 2 years. And I was like, shit, he's a judge this year.
Yeah, I need to
So
do it.
I felt kind of had to do it, but he was super happy with it, and fucking love the guy. So
Yeah, Zabra is good people.
it wasn't meant to be like a competition piece. I just painted it literally the night before going, just to bring it and show it to people. So
It's just isn't it? This is a different world when someone's like, "Yeah, I just painted this entire piece the night before." I'm
Yeah,
like,
I don't
can't.
paint anything in one night. I guarantee you, nothing. No.
Maybe we should do like a
Yeah.
24-hour challenge. That's where the money is, honest.
Yeah,
the
ceiling
thing is,
paint an
though,
arm.
as soon as you start doing those quick videos where you have to finish stuff really fast, I think that I've become a better painter and a way faster painter thanks to it.
Because you essentially know what delivers the most impact.
Yeah. And like as long as you get the impact done quickly, it's always easier to just refine that afterwards rather than having to like add impact later. Like, yeah.
But my neurosis, I can't look at that messy shit I created in the beginning, and my brain, and I'm like, nope, let's stop here, and I throw it.
That might just be the Danish part of you.
Yeah, but, well, maybe it might be.
That's why I don't like sketching really either. The ugly phase just makes me real sad.
But you need to be able to find the beauty in the ugly stage. See, now I'm starting to sound like an art teacher.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do think there is something in that, like probably the interview that has had the most impact on how I think is the one we did with Gabby, because just like, just get some fucking paint on it. Just like, the world won't end. Like, it's okay. You can just get a feel for things, and I wonder if it depends on like the route you come into it. I imagine, because I also think about what Arnau was saying about like needing to make spheres and like perfect spheres or perfect primitives and then crush them, just to learn that you can't be precious about this stuff, and therefore you don't have to like put your work on this pedestal even when it's like still in progress. There is a lot to be said about being looser, and it's often a question I find interesting because I still struggle with it, and I think that it makes these interviews quite interesting, because if we were all perfect painters, they'd be quite boring. So how do you paint? Well, I just paint what I want to paint. It's great, done.
Yeah. And we all do it the same way, and it's
like, the objective
this
best.
is the correct way. Yeah, exactly.
Where do you want to develop into, Lukas? Because it seems that to me that I get the impression that even in this conversation, like, I've been working on this channel, and then you've decided, yes, I'm going to make this leap to competition, and that's been a largely successful leap. Is that something you want to keep pursuing? You've hit silver now, you go for gold. You've hit bronze at Golden Demon, you go for the sword.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like just winning a Golden Demon was a childhood dream. Like, I do not care about the color at all. Like, it could have been a gold, silver, bronze. I wouldn't have cared.
Fair.
But at the same time, it would be a lie to say that I wouldn't want a fucking Slayer sword when I was 8 years old. So I'm gonna like I'm young. And I don't have kids.
Yeah, you keep reminding us.
During the winter, I cannot go fishing as
Ouch.
often as during the summer. So I have to do something during the winter. So
Grind for a sword.
yeah, grind for a sword, just casually become the world's best and most renowned miniature painter. I think that's the small ambition, and then
Yeah.
just global domination.
So like
Okay.
world dictator is obviously like
Yeah. No, but
Okay.
I don't know. Like for me, I just want to really l- put myself in a space where I can just paint minis for my own sake in my spare time and just finish them because like I know that I'm a good or decent painter depending on the day. And I just want to paint more stuff for myself, even if it's for painting competitions or just putting them in the cabinets at home, doesn't really matter. And then just keep pushing to try to become an even better painting or competition painter. So
what are the things that you think you need to do in order to hit that next level? Because this is a question I've been actually wishing I've asked more people in terms of where they develop. Because I think some people have a good sense of the route they need to develop, or the things that they need to learn. I mean, I'm constantly struck by what Dave Colwell said about like there's always a bigger mountain, there's always something bigger. What do you think your like next stepping stones are?
I think a big one for me is like it's weird to say, but like paint more, like in the sense of painting more for myself. Because
Right.
obviously I paint
You
probably
paint a
more
lot.
than most people. But at the same time, I feel like the past 4 years have been really good at developing like a good sense for painting striking minis that are impactful and that have good color choices. Which is stuff that I like for myself. I feel like that's what I'm probably the strongest with. And then just having more ways of translating that into competition pieces. That just means painting more competition pieces to a high standard. Because I've painted one in 5 years, which isn't
Yeah.
great. Uh,
Good hit rate on that one, though.
good hit rate on that
Yeah,
one, but at the same time, it's like I think when I start coming up to like the third or fourth one, I'll probably know if it was like a incredible fluke or if I actually know what I'm doing, if it makes sense. Because even now, building
Yeah.
my Adepticon piece, it's like I'm not sure if I've gotten into way too deep of water. I'm like, am I even gonna finish this in time? So yeah, I think just doing more will probably be good.
Where do you turn to get feedback if you do? Do you ask people, show the project? Do you do
Yeah,
you have
so
friends, peers?
luckily we have quite a large group of successful Swedish painters who are really good, and I oftentimes look for feedback from people who aren't necessarily doing the same thing as me, who have widely different styles and completely different approaches to stuff. Uh, so I think some of the best feedback that I've gotten are from, I don't know if you guys know who Sven Jonsson is, Avalon Painting. Uh,
No?
he won if it's 2 or 3 Golden Demons back in the like 2008 to 10 or something. He's a great painter and he has an eye for tiny details, which I sometimes can overlook. So in this entire, like for this Golden Demon piece, I asked him for feedback a lot. And he would come sit with me for 2 hours and he would wear his little old man glasses, the ones that you flip up and eat stuff. And he would just like look at it and then he would be,
Oh, so he's
here
somewhat
you need to
local,
paint.
actually.
Yeah, he's been living in Japan for like 10 years or whatever, so it's been a bit hard. But now he's moved back to the town here.
Okay.
And then,
Found young
I mean,
Sven.
like,
I shall add him in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
he's great. And also just I mean, the community is fucking lovely. Most of the people who are in this hobby are great people, and they are more than happy to talk about minis with you. I was I had a bit of imposter syndrome last year because it was like, I was like, okay, they probably just see me as this fucking YouTuber who paints armies really fast. And I was a bit afraid to like ask people for advice or feedback or whatever. But then like when I met Eric Swinson the first time and he just hugged me, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I shouldn't keep these fucking horrid thoughts in my head.
No.
So just like I talked a lot to Borja and Eric and Andy about the Golden Demon piece. So it's great.
I wanted this as a complete aside, but is this really important to me? I really want to shout out those people that open the fucking gate for other people in this hobby, who just get people out of there. And like for me, it was Phoenix. It was just like, yeah, welcome to the hobby. You are here now. And I just think those people are so important in miniatures, and we need them more than anything, pretty much, these days. So shout outs. Good going, Eric. You good people.
Well, luckily, it's actually hard to find people who aren't at least mostly like that. I mean, maybe they won't, invite you home, but uh, they will definitely welcome you. Like, okay, well, let me see what you have. Yeah, that looks really nice. Do you want to hear my thoughts on it? Like, everyone is pretty well, most everyone at least is pretty passionate, and willing to share their thoughts. I think so. Yeah, it's kind of hard to like hit the one person that isn't, I guess.
Right, we're coming to the end of this now. I do want to ask Lukas, because you see a lot of work. Obviously, I would hope now that you've got over your imposter syndrome, you have a good sense of what makes a good mini, and as you say, you can quickly look and you say, well, this is either shit or it's good, and that makes that first cut. I mean, it is the question we keep coming back to, and it's the one that we debate the most in community of like how to improve. What is your advice? What is your singular piece to that person out there saying, you know what, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, or I want to be there and maybe I'm here at the moment? Like, what is the most common things that you see that you would get people to really work on?
I would say the most common fault that I see in miniatures when I'm judging or just looking like in general when people want advice or feedback is you really need to learn the fundamentals. Having covering neat layers will give you so much fucking free win in
Yeah.
your entire painting career. Because the thing is, like we are probably to blame for a bit of this as well as a lot of the other people who are great at showcasing tips and tricks and different approaches because OSL and NMM, it looks really cool. But if you don't know how to make a covering layer, you don't know how to
Yeah.
paint within the lines, nothing is gonna look good because we can see people, and especially in painting competitions, because they think that they need to do all of the cool effects and like they need to paint NMM and OSL, which is great. Like you should do what you enjoy and you should strive to have a good time when doing it. But at the same time, if you are wanting like let's say you want to enter a competition and you really want to win a bronze, you would win more bronzes if you have covering layers than a shitty OSL.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. Like the fundamentals of painting, I think, are drifting away a little bit for many painters, especially the ones that are coming into the hobby maybe now or a couple of years ago. Then
It's such a different environment to come into now as well, I think. I mean, it wasn't, I mean, it was only kind of just over 2 years ago that I entered the hobby, and you're assaulted with all these myriad tutorials, and no one's, as far as I'm like aware, no one's doing it right. Here's miniature painting 101, step one, we're keeping in the lines.
Yeah.
Because some of that is like, you won't be good at this for a little bit because you've got to develop brush control, and you'll only get that through reps and just trying to paint small. But then it's, here's how you get a good layer. Here's how you just appreciate the fundamentals. But I just like that as a takeaway, because I think it is so easy to find yourself in that trap of, how do I make this more complex, as opposed to how do I make this more simple and therefore beautiful. Like, more is sometimes less. We need to remember.
The thing is, like, simple is the best fucking thing to aim for in this entire hobby. Because if you can dumb down a complex technique and just do it efficiently, oh my God, you're gonna be a superstar. Because I think, like, for us, one of the things that a lot of people are always super impressed with when we paint is like NMM. Because when you paint as much as we do and you have somewhat of decent light understanding, NMM isn't that hard. And I mean, Magnus, you're really good. Like, your golden NMM, it looks fucking surreal. And I have a hard time feeling that it's probably not hard for you. Like, when you process a mini and like, oh, I'm gonna paint this NMM, it's not gonna be hard. But for people,
Some shapes.
Yeah, some shapes, of course, are more intricate than others, but the basic shapes, like painting a fucking Space Marine shoulder pad, you can do that in 20 minutes and it's gonna look good. Maybe not refined, but it's gonna look good. And people are always like, oh, how can you guys do this so fast? I'm like, I can't even do it in 17 hours. And I think people are just doing incredibly stupid decisions. They pick paints that aren't covering or aren't, if they want to paint gold NMM, why would you ever paint with colors that don't look like gold? It's like easy decisions, fucking straightforward painting.
Simpler.
Make it as simple as possible. You will have more success thanks to it.
Yeah, I think some things a thing that at least is quite overlooked is it's less about what you do within the volume and more about get it defined. Make sure that you have your lighting correct. Make it discernible from the next volume. Then you can do squiggly lines or stripes or scratches, or you can do it blendy or you can do it less blendy. But if it's defined and the lighting is correct, you can almost do whatever within.
Volumes. That's why our volumes video still does well, Manus. It's the money
The one
maker.
hit.
The one hit.
Yeah. Those £10.
Oh, that's enough for a few Red Bulls. That's all we need.
True.
Right. Lukas, any final thoughts, closing words?
See you at Adepticon.
Yeah.
See you at Adepticon, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
No, just enjoy painting minis. That's what I'm trying to do. So anyone who's listening, enjoy painting fucking minis.
It's a good hobby.
I've heard.
Yeah, it helps, I've heard.
Yeah, I've been told it's coming. The joy is coming, which is right. So then, quick. I mean, if you've not watched the Squidmar vid, you're not in the hobby. I'm pretty sure it's like the most subscribed thing in the hobby. So go check out Squidmar Miniatures and the website, but also go check out Lucas's Instagram on Lucas_miniatures. Lucas with a K, not a C, but I always pop the link down below, and I shall include some pictures of all the wonderful things that we've talked about. But then, yeah, if you're coming to Adepticon, keep your eyes open for, but don't treat him like a word YouTuber, as we now know.
Yeah.
Treat him like a Golden Demon winner, completely different. But no, Lukas, thank you so much for your time and taking it to talk with us and your words of wisdom. But until next time, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Till we meet again, paint something beautiful. Goodbye.